Are we on? Woohoo. Yes. Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome from the distance, but welcome anyway. My name is Karolina Józwa, and I am the host of this event. I will be the host of this panel as well. I'm super happy that you are all here. The 2020 edition is not an easy one, but I think that's why we appreciate it even more. First of all, I would like to welcome our amazing participants who have applied to this edition of the platform, and they were selected and they decided to join us here. So big shout for them. I would like to welcome our international guests, and I would like to welcome Michał Hajduk, the representative of Institute of Adam Mickiewicz, our partner in the event. And I would like to welcome our amazing panelists who decided to join us today in this panel. Welcome, guys. I think we can agree that these last few months have been one of the most difficult and strangest time for most of us. I still remember our last professional gathering. That was the British edition of Jazz Connective Project. It was a week before lockdown. Michał was there, Pierre was there, and I remember the feeling when the world was like shutting down right in front of our eyes, and what we thought was impossible turned out to be possible within the week. Canceling the flights, putting up the borders, closing countries, universities, schools, venues. And I remember this feeling. We started this event very optimistic, and each day brought new developments, and in the end we didn't know whether we would be able to back to the country, whether we would be able to work when we do come back, and whether we would be able to meet our friends and families. And that was 5 months ago. That was middle of March. And now we are here, and the fact that the platform is happening, the fact that you guys managed to come and join us is, I think it's a huge development. But there are still so many uncertainties and so many challenges associated with resuming the artistic activity that I think it's harder than ever to function in the music sector. And this is what I would like to talk to you about, guys. How our world, how as artists, as professional is going to look like in the most immediate future. What's there for us in the upcoming months. I know it's very difficult to predict anything, but it's our world, it's our work, and it's our life. So let's try discussing it. And maybe let's start with the really short introductions. You just say your name and what you do.
On? Yeah. Hi, I'm Jim Black. I play drums, and I'm here at this workshop on faculty for my second time, and it's incredible to get to be here to do this. Thanks for being here.
Hi, I'm Bogdan Benigar from Ljubljana. There I work for a culture center called Cankar Dom, which also produces Jazz Festival Ljubljana. And I also work for another festival called Druga Godba. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Martyna Markowska from Katowice, Institution of Culture, Katowice City of Gardens, where I program a Katowice Jazz Art Festival. And I experienced another miracle today by coming by Polish Railways, Polish Rails, 10 minutes ahead of time. So this is another great thing.
And Bogdan, you have also just arrived, yes? So
yeah, I actually drove with my colleague, Nika, who is there, 10 hours and a half from Ljubljana, like, straight.
Thank you.
Yes, so thanks for being here. And I'm the least international, but Katowice is also another planet at this moment, especially.
At this moment, all distances are, important.
Thank you. Thanks.
Frank?
My name is Frank van Berkel. I'm program director from the Bimhuis in Amsterdam, jazz venue. And it's great to be here in Poland. Actually, my second time, but longer than before. So thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you for coming. Okay, so our panelists, I would like to start this panel by asking you for one thing. I know it's hard, we talked about that, it's hard to predict what's going to happen next week, tomorrow, next month. But just for a second, I'm giving you a crystal ball. And let's transport ourselves just for a minute to 2025 and tell me, what do you think our world, our work is going to look like? What do you think, what do you feel or fear how our work is going to look like? Jim? You chose the wrong chair.
Okay, I'll make this short because I could talk for hours about what might be and what I just have to ask, is it what you think in terms of prediction or what you think I would like to have happen? They're very different.
Both.
I mean, what I want, and I said it at the end of my intro the other day, is that I want transparency and fairness in this business for the musicians, for the promoters, and for the musicians' agents, the festival promoters, the local promoters, and the musicians. I want a sense of transparency and fairness. I would like to see more local action. That's a pretty good wish list. And I think we're going to have to get to that point if you're going to keep an audience and keep the musicians and keep the promoters working in this business. It has to be fair for everybody. And I do mean that. In a capitalist economy, which is the entire world, essentially, it's not very fair. So that needs to be straightened out. And I think the world is gravitating more towards this sense of equality. By nature, it has to. Things have to be evened out, otherwise it'll be constant chaos, constant conflict, and any various types of different kinds of warfare. Economic, social, you name it. We have a lot. I think this COVID time has opened the box to a lot of serious issues, and we can't close that box now. And I think we need to do, as artists, as art supporters, as art promoters, yeah, this is a good time for us to actually shine a very bright light on what we're good at, and what we're really good at is getting people to think. Getting people to consider, getting people to relax, giving something to fantasize about, all those things that music and art does. And the optimistic side of it for me is that, okay, let's do this all now for the right reasons. And I think you all know inside what that means. That's what I want to see happen in 5 years, in the next 5 years. That's my dream. I'll let someone else figure out what's going to happen in reality, though.
Yes, so we are at the point of rethinking ourselves personally and also politically, and this is the time that either something happens or we see which directions we are going. So I take your optimistic, I believe you, and the optimistic approach is, I think, that we...
Well, that's why we're here. It's only optimism that keeps this going. It's easy to say things are over. It's easy to say things are finished. And even when it looks like it's over, that's not a reason to quit. And in the arts, what do you ever quit? That's what we do. And if you're an art promoter, even though they take away all your funding, let's say, you're going to find a way to keep the music going somehow. And you can do it locally. Maybe it won't be the big international blowout anymore. Maybe you can't invite every band you want to have to your venue in your area. But all the more reason to create a sustainable, thriving local culture. So I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm making moves in my personal life to align myself to be around for things like this. So, for example, I just moved to Berlin, and I just became a permanent resident of the EU for the next 3 years. And so you can see where I'm headed, and a lot of my friends too. Because we believe in in Europe's ability to keep culture alive, keep it going. And this is, again, the beginning of a 5-hour rant, so I'll stop.
Thank you. So I'm taking this crystal ball, I disinfect it, and I give it to you, Bogdan. And what do you think?
Thank you. I actually resist to think well in advance. I think that now we are facing a new art. A new art is called art of predictions and art of flexibility. But I think personally, if you ask me, I think 2025 is going to be a great year. It's going to be fantastic. Because after every crisis, new things, very positive things come up.
Every crisis is an opportunity.
It's.
How
I mean, it's
a Chinese proverb.
Well,
which is kind of
I'm not sure it's the right word to say it's opportunity, but it creates some new energies comes up, and new generation is coming up, and I hope if we can, they can rid of all this extremism we are now living in. But I think if we continue like we all do, I think 2025 is going to be really great.
Okay, thank you, Bogdan. Martyna, what about you?
Yeah, art of prediction, art of being creative, art of act immediately. That I would add maybe to what Bogdan said, and really like changing. The situation is changing from one day to another, and we have to react as fast. And we have to move forward. Well, we have like 10 different scenarios now, or at least 5 or 7 that we have.
3 backup plans.
Yes, really backup plans that we just take, and then we have to react. Well, luckily, the only what I experienced for now, the only group that doesn't really make troubles around all this, there are artists who are really open for everything, and like fantastic agents, fantastic institutions, other colleagues from the festivals. Thanks to them, I think that it really works, and well, it was frustrating for everyone, but I was even happy at some point that I could a bit rest and think about the future, and well, read books and stuff, and talk to the people, and that was very important, because usually we just say hi, we talk about booking, we talk about maybe some life problems, but now we had all the global serious problem that we all faced, well, in a different way, of course. But what Jim said, the transparency is really crucial, because we have to also face different rules for different countries, different cities, different reasons. It's also blurred and so different in every place. So this transparency, at least at some level, it's something that is very important. That well, also to maintain it, it's very hard, of course, because transparency also sometimes depends on the situation. I mean, on the circumstances. But well, transparency is like yeah, valid for everything. But the circumstances are changing. Now, I still when I think about April, where I was telling to the artists that okay, we'll try to do something in October instead. That we cannot proceed with jazz art at the moment, but maybe in October, once the situation is getting better. Now we don't know. Everybody's talking about the second wave. Of course, it's like it had to come up. But well, we'll see if that exists, and maybe if even there's a 3rd, 5th, or 6th wave, would go on. I don't know if we are going to have another lockdown or not, or what is going to happen.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, yes, being together, I think that it was something that I learned during this time. Talk together when I see my colleagues, also agents and artists. So there was finally the time to talk about that. About this one common problem, and that was something positive that I experienced. This unity.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And Frank, what about you? How do you see your work, and how do you see our work? And
well,
reality?
it sort of seemed like we were living in a utopia. In some things were going really, really nice, and of course, many things were going not nice at all, and we had a lot of problems in the world. Yeah, looking in 5 years from now, it would be great to look at an utopia again as it was. I think for now we need the arts and the artists more than ever before. I mean, the artists, they are the musicians. They can give us their vision, their view on this new world, whatever it is, if it's pessimistic or optimistic. Of course, we have all these practical problems. Bringing over Polish musicians to Amsterdam is, a couple of months ago, I thought maybe that would be, we can do that. But today I heard that maybe even that's going to be a problem next month.
Every day is bringing new developments and
Exactly.
more and more uncertainties. Yeah.
Every day more uncertainty. So we're looking more at local communities now then. And as far as the Netherlands and Amsterdam, I think we have a lot of fertility for working on the local communities there and local arts, local musicians. And maybe in 5 years we have some more international opening ups again.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, that would be really great. But I think for arts, of course, there's also funding involved and everything. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of creativity needed, also from us organizers, to bring up the money, to get things done, to make it possible. And it's really not easy. But yeah, in 5 years from now, I really don't know. But I think to be optimistic is the best thing to do. And we worked out big problems, so let's remain optimistic.
Yeah, I intentionally started this panel with this question so that we have this bigger perspective, so that we are going to survive, guys. And I know that most of you think that it's really, really difficult time, but we're gonna be okay, as we even talked about that yesterday. And that's why I wanted to start with this drop of optimism in this difficult times, and because during the discussion, we will probably go ups and downs of different aspects of what we are experiencing right now. So maybe I will turn to you right now, Martyna. You represent a big cultural institution from Silesia region, from Katowice. You organize a huge number of events. You used to organize a huge number of events every year, conferences, festivals. So how does the work of your institution look like right now?
Yeah, it's we are opening little by little, and it started in mid-June. So first step was the rehearsing space and the galleries that were visited, that they were the first spaces. And then now we can organize small events indoor even. Well, there was this turmoil in between, because in Poland it was not that clear as, for instance, in the Netherlands, that it was much ahead. It was planned ahead, but in Poland it was just like one day to the other, and that caused us troubles also as a public institution, as private agencies, and I think that we're just checking the news every day that tomorrow the museum is going to open, and everybody was rushing how to organize that. So that was a bit problematic.
Headless chicken, yes?
Headless chicken, yes. Yeah, politics or methods. Or so that was that we had to react also very fast. And of course, we are responsible for public health in a sense. So we couldn't be so open right away. But now we are slowly starting, and our events still until the end of the year, they will be online, like our theater festival and film festival or audiovisual festival. We are still organizing all these big events online.
Even if there's not allowed to let people in, you can still organize it online.
Yes, because we were really concerned about this prognosis about this famous second wave. So that's why we decided, and we know that it's October, November, people are sick, they suffer flu anyways. So then every cough, or every fever will be just perceived as something very, very dangerous. And yeah, of course, we have to deal with municipalities, so it's also up to the local authorities who give us permission or don't. And well, for now, it's just like small steps, but then autumn events are online.
Frank, you represent one of the most important venues in Holland, the beautiful Bimhuis. I know you started organizing some of the concerts last month? Or
beginning of July.
Beginning of July.
Every Saturday night we do a double show, two shows of the same band for a different audience. We have a maximum capacity of, we started with 61 and we now have 73 seats, 73 tickets to sell per show, so 2 shows a night.
One band, two shows per night. And how many concerts did you manage to organize?
So we're doing now through the summer. Normally we're closed in the summer, but we opened in the summer, and so we organize now 4 or 5, 6 Saturdays, I think, altogether.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And Bogdan, you are involved in Druga Godba Festival, but you are also involved in Ljubljana Jazz Festival. And you managed to organize this year's edition of Ljubljana Jazz Festival.
My idea from the beginning is to resist, not to accept that this situation should really change our work and the way how we do it. So from the beginning, we, with my colleague Edin Zubcevic, we started to, which could work when things get better. So normally, of course, we're also studying the pandemics and so on. So we knew we were able to predict what was going to happen in 2 months, because there's a nature of virus, how it spreads and how it goes down after lockdown. So we were sure that in June we can organize some kind of festival, very possibly also with live concerts for audience, which actually happened in the end. But the original idea was to keep the festival international, so to give the work not only to local artists but also to international artists who normally we were supposed to have at the festival. So we asked each of them to propose what kind of work can they do for us, and most of them they made exclusive streaming concerts, pre-recorded, which they sent to us, and then we streamed them as a premiere streaming during the festival. With the local artists, we also pre-recorded all the artists in the empty hall with Cultural Center, where we could do it in May, and then we followed up the situation, you know, and then we could add more and more. So we found a model which could be flexible, and we announced the lineup very late. And it's still good enough for audience to come. And so in the end, we had 4 local bands, which we pre-recorded. We also had live in the concert hall, where we could get 100 people per show, pay tickets. And just before the festival, the measures went really in a good way. So we could have 500 people outside with the distance. But in Slovenia, it's very funny because you don't need to have distance in the restaurants, right? The cultural events you have to have distance, but not in the restaurants. So because the restaurant is also part of the festival, so we could have a lot of people, because half of the festival was restaurant and restaurant outside, and half of the people could sit in the park on the distance. And then we could add 4 more concerts in the park. So in the end, we had actually 5. So we had 9 live concerts and 14 premiere streamings. So we actually, except 3 artists, everybody was collaborating, and we also offered them that next year they can make a regional, we can realize the regional plan, so they can come with the full band, or because some made it solo or duo or so on. So that was the idea, and I think this model, I think it was the first actually festival in Europe which was still doing international lineup in this sense. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a model which is useful also for the future if, let's say, second, third, mm-hmm. I don't know which wave, doesn't matter because it's only one wave anyway. Mm-hmm. It can be really, it's really workable. You can really work on it because it gives you flexibility to see what you can do next week. You know,
in any scenario.
Yeah.
You can engage.
And this was also. I mean, the idea is, of course, that we have to give the artist work. because for many of them, local artists was the first concert after 2-3 months. And also, what is very important to give the work for the people who work at
Technical crew, yeah,
of
we
course,
often
because
forget
they
about
also were not working for 2-3 months, and I think that's really good. And after that, we continue with the live concerts. Now in Slovenia is allowed 500 inside or outside, up to
That's a
up
lot.
to 500.
That's a lot.
Inside is distance and masks. Outside is just distance. And you need to get permission from the National Institute for Public Health. But it's working well. I mean, many festivals are going now in the summer throughout the country. Of course, mainly with local, but not only local. Hamid Drake just played in Slovenia 3 days ago. He came without problem from Chicago through Paris to Milano, where he stayed 2 weeks in quarantine, and then he started touring.
Oh, okay.
So this is also one of the options that people, I mean, artists who are based in America come earlier, found house or place where they can be, rehearse or be there for 2 weeks, and then they can. So I don't see this now as a complete tragedy. I think it's our duty to find a way how we can present the art, the concerts, also in these circumstances. So I don't like people or artists to complain to me, because you know, now it's not time to complain. Now it's time to find. Everybody has to find his way.
New scenarios and new
Yeah,
solutions and new
yeah,
ways of
exactly.
functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Druga Godba, we have decided, because it was earlier in May, we knew that we couldn't do it. So
Is it September? Yes.
yeah, it was planned in May, and we knew it's too early. And then we decided to spread the festival with more or less original lineup. We add more things to different dates in autumn. You know, September. We have something in September, something in November, and something in December, which is also, I think, smart, because at least something we probably will be able to do, regardless of the situation.
situation.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
And I'll also plan next, like a series concert in Culture Center normally now in autumn, with all international artists are planned to play live. But you know, one country is 1 week is green, next week is red, so
it's changing.
we
Every day
will
it's
know.
changing,
I think we
and-
will know just 1 week before if the artists can come.
Yeah, that's the perspective that we can be sure of. We say here, like in our institution, 1 week or 2 weeks ahead, and this
But
is
you
what we
know-
send for certain. Yeah.
It's very, very important that you make the programs, even though you're not sure if you can do it, because you have to show the people that world didn't stop. Artists still work, organizers, we are still working, and at least they know that something is planned. You know, it's also good for them. They can hope for them to attend.
Feel
good-
reassured and
okay, if concerts are postponed or cancelled, okay, I mean, everybody understands it now, but I think everybody expects that we do our job.
Okay, thank you. And Jim, how much time a year did you used to spend touring in the past? How much time? Like 70% of the year?
Yeah,
50%?
I'd say 70% of the year.
For how many years?
30.
So how have you survived, or how have you managed to spend these 3 months without all this traveling and without all these concerts all around the world?
Well, I mean, I love playing music, and I love all the people I get to play with, so it's a joy to get to work that much. It's a great opportunity, and I always try to make it happen. However, that's a reality I was living in for so long that you forget what it's like to sit on your couch and read a book. So when this happened, as a survivalist musician, you go through all the scenarios in your mind. Okay, what happens if there's no more money? What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? What's going to happen? So I went through a couple of days of high enzyme activity in my brain and my body, flight or fight feelings, and that's okay. I know from my life experiences that it's good to have backup plans. And at that time, in the beginning, no one really knew what was going on, and in the way that we still don't know how this unfolds. Always the sense of optimism. Once I made peace with my own possibility of, how I could survive this in the worst case scenario, I could chill. And I stopped playing drums for 3 months totally. I didn't touch them, which is something I'm totally okay with doing because I'm always listening to music. I wrote music. I started writing every day because I was in the middle. I was supposed to do a tour with my band. We were going to record a new album. We had a fantastic tour booked. All of it was canceled literally in the last day. We canceled the tour before the promoters canceled the tour because you have contracts and people expect things to happen. And we were like, it's not safe to travel. We have to cancel the show. And there are even some promoters were like, well, maybe you can bring another band. Write us next week. And by next week, everything closed. So even the attitudes were pretty interesting. Accepting the reality of this has to wait. So optimism, yes. Expectation, be careful. Optimism's cool, though. But if your expectations change, if your expectations aren't met, don't be crushed. Stay optimistic. Keep going. And so that was with most of my friends in Berlin, because I was in lockdown in Berlin. When, I think it was maybe 2 months in, now we know what's kind of going on. And Berlin was spared in terms of all my friends in New York, which were, you call every day to see what was happening. People were dying. This was no joke. People were getting sick. Some people got this thing early on, and I have friends now that can't run anymore because their lungs don't work. They function for walking, but they can't run. Some friends got this thing, and they're totally okay. So, that's a whole other debate about how this works. In some areas, they saw nothing, so why would they think there's anything wrong? I get all the different arguments. In Berlin, we were spared, more or less. So the musicians that took care of themselves and used distancing and really accepted the reality of the situation started getting back together and playing. And they talked about, having groups together of your friends where you trust that people take care. And we know what that is. You wear a mask, you distance, you don't go to bars. And you still, because you just don't know who's got this thing. Because that's how it's attacking America right now. You think it's okay, and then it's not. A lot of the fears that are about to happen in a lot of places. So, with that in mind, we got back to work. We started recording, we started rehearsing, we made plans, and just having those ideas, that gave you that sense of like, hey, it's cool. So we're always functioning. So when you said artists complaining, that's interesting because nobody I know is complaining. However, what I see though...
You don't live in Slovenia.
Yeah, of course. What I can say that the artists were complaining about was like, God, we hate streaming.
We will come back to that.
Of course. Well, because they did it, and they're like, yeah, it's cool once, maybe twice. But then by the third time, it's like, this is not fun. You know what was fun, though? Getting in a room and jamming for 5 hours, and then sitting in a park and having a beer afterwards, just chilling with some distance. Cool. So I think the artists will be cool if we keep optimistic and just embrace your art even more. Make it about the music. And that's really the lesson I think I relearned. So I had time to go even deeper into what I do. So personally for me, this time off really helped reset my 30 years of travel. It really helped change my opinion around about what I do, what I want to do. And 30 years of international travel, man. I mean, I'm a CO2 weapon. My father worked for the airlines, so I never thought twice about what it meant to fly. Now I do, big time. And I would like to organize my life slightly different. And if it means longer hours on the train or in the car to get to a gig, that's fine. But I'm going to be pretty careful now about what flights I take and what flights I don't. That's for sure. So it can mean it opens a lot of new doors in that way.
Yeah, it's also not. It will not come back like the traveling and the touring like we know from the past. In the old days, it's not gonna come back, and it's, as we call it, okay, we are waiting when the time when it will be normal again. The question is whether, you know, flying all over Europe all the time, or Europe states, you know, and
Yeah.
different between different continents, it's normal. So I think we will have to define our normals again. But just
Sure.
drawing from just thinking about the internet thing you said, because I think we can agree that the internet has its golden age now, and some of the artists I know have used it intensively. I mean, for reaching their audience, for keeping in touch with their audience, and trying to pursue their activity and careers. Some of the artists have withdrawn totally. I know personally such an artist that they say that okay, we can do it, but it lacks what is most important in music, meaning the personal relationship, and unfortunately very often the quality. And because I think at the beginning, especially, all the streamings were like it was difficult to go through them. So what do you think about that, Frank? When you started your concerts on Bimhuis, you also decided to stream them online, yes? And so, what do you think what does it bring to the venue, also for the audience? How does it work for you?
Yeah, well, we have a very good streaming system, Bimhuis TV, which we do twice a month normally, which we did twice a month before Corona.
So you did it also before, yeah.
Yeah. We had Bimhuis Radio 2 or 4 times a month, and then Bimhuis TV twice a month since 2 years. And then we had this lockdown, and there was the choice: are we going to continue streaming without audience? But we had the difficulty that we want to pay the musicians also when they're streaming, and we didn't have this fat on the bones, the money to invest in the musicians. So there was this big discussion, what can we do at this moment? We couldn't do a lot, and also we actually, we have our perspective. The streaming, we only want to do it with an audience, not without an audience. So with this principle, we decided not to stream concerts yet. And as soon as we could do live concerts in July, we started also streaming them again. And regarding this payment for the musicians, this is quite tricky, you know, with all the author rights, royalties, etc., getting this done with tickets online, etc. The choice was for us, we did it free in the past, and we wanted to keep it free also as a possibility to gain a wider audience for people, you know, to find the bands online. So it's still free, but we added a possibility for donations, so which goes directly to the audience, to the musicians actually now, and that's working quite well. So we do that now every week, the live streaming. Actually, what I should also add is that before we started the concerts, we also had this the InJazz, which is the yearly conference in the Netherlands, which was this year an online event, and it took place in Rotterdam, Lantaarnvenster, and in Amsterdam, Bimhuis, and was live streaming without audience. I was there, sitting there in the club, and it felt so strange, the empty club, also for the musicians. It was more like a TV studio, and in fact you're making TV then. That's a different job. It's really a different job, which can be a choice as well. And maybe we need to do that in the future also, but now we're still stuck to the fact that we want to have the audience as well, and I think it really works with the audience. It's much more lively, and I notice that works best, also for musicians, of course.
And they have also a good material afterwards, because it's a very good quality, as I saw the recordings. In terms of the audio and visual recording. So this is also important to keep the quality.
We have great infrastructure for that, with like a studio downstairs below the stage, where 2 technicians are there, one for the sound and one is editing the projections, the visuals. And we have like 6 cameras in the venue, so there's 6 perspectives. And our sound engineers are now editing the visuals, and that's really great because they're really editing more this onto the sound, what's happening in the music, instead of just on looking what's happening. So that's becoming better and better and better, and they're specializing in this now, and that's really working out great.
And do you measure like how many people watch the recordings, and do you measure it online, and then so?
Actually, I don't know all these numbers by heart, but what I do know is on the night of the concert, there's really less views than afterwards. Afterwards, there are lots of views, and I think over the years we really had 200,000 or more, and that's still growing. So that's really great. That's really working well.
Yes, Jim.
Just one question as an artist, and this idea of streaming. You said that you were collecting donations with the streaming. Any idea what that's bringing in for the artists that performed that day? Do they have a way of earning from this stream?
Well, goes directly to their bank account, but I didn't ask for all the numbers, but of the first shows, and you're talking about like 100 euros or maybe 200 euros a night. But you can
total for the income.
No, for that one show.
That's what I mean. For the first night, in donations around 200.
So we pay the artist a normal fee.
Okay.
For the show,
That's the
and
extra thing that they get.
And then they get some extra as a gift from people watching or people in the audience or whatever.
Right.
And this can keep going on as long as it's online. So. But to be honest, I don't know. I have to check out with the artist what the figures are and if it works out well.
Actually, what the numbers are. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The paid streamings, I think, is the issue that we could talk for hours. It's I think internet and people are used to not pay for things in the internet. And Martina, do you think, because you said that you also you are going to stream the events, so this is also a kind of a backup plan, last resort, you cannot let people in, okay, so we do the stream. In fact, all the concerts within the festival here, within the Summer Jazz Academy, we were able to plan it just because we decided to also stream them. So if, for example, the bands are back, then we only do the streaming, so the artists are still there, the technical crew is paid, and we still can do it. So do you think it's becoming a new normal thing that for all the events we have these backup plans? And also, do you plan to do the paid streams, or are they going to be all for free?
Yeah, thank you, because we did charge for our streaming. Well, we organized 2 events. The worst was Jazzart, because Jazzart was just in April, when it was just, everything was locked.
Immediately after the lockdown,
yeah, and then we just had this question, whether we stream some art. Well, that was just one option, just the stream artists from own bedroom, because they couldn't even go to the rehearsing space, they couldn't go to the venues, everything was closed. So many artists didn't want to do that at that time. Then they got convinced after some time. But the only artist that was like, okay, right away, it was Joanna Duda, who did it, and she had the solo performance from her own bedroom. And then with Gardens of Sounds, with World Music Festival that we organized, it was a bit easier because it was in June, so the bands could go out from their bedrooms and dungeons or basements or whatever. But some audience could be there too. So that was a bit easier. We paid like the full fee to the artist. This was just like regular festival fee. However, we charged, but it was very hard to convince. I don't know if it's like problem of the city or a PR. Well, we had tickets, but they were very cheap, and it was mainly just to tell the people that, well, it's not for free, just to make
your
audience,
contribution.
exactly, just to bring some kind of habit that it's not for free, and just to introduce this kind of rule. So we didn't really like earn a lot, and that's why we couldn't even pass this money. It was just like single tickets bought by the audience. But well, we just had this dilemma that whether we should do online thing or nothing at all. So then it was just the choice of the artist that would you like to do that or not? Would you like to postpone the concert, or what do you prefer? That was just the question. And yeah, it depends whether it was in April or in June. Well, in April, the bands couldn't even get together, even in any basement or any bedroom or anywhere. So that was the problem. It was just the solo opportunity at that time. But well, now it's different. So now it's more open and it's easier. We don't know how about autumn. I do hope that at least some bands which travel by train or bus or car, they could come.
We'll get to Katowice.
Yeah, yeah. Because now I see that it's not only a problem of borders, of politics or rules or coronavirus itself, but it's a lot of problems with infrastructure. Like the airports don't have enough staff, what we just experienced a couple of days ago. And there are huge delays, there are problems with airlines, and cancelled flights still. So, well, yeah, there are different, and ecology, environment. I think that we really became more concerned, what you said, Jim, that, yeah, I also thought about that. Well, we also promoters, we travel quite much, and then...
Yeah, we will discuss it at length tomorrow, because I decided just to devote the whole panel to this topic, as I think it's right now one of the most important issues that we should continue discussing and continue rethinking is the ecological responsibility of ours as human beings.
Yeah, but just like answering like in a short way, that was just this question: shall we do something online or not at all? And then, well, our festival, Jazz Art, is an interdisciplinary festival with different forms of arts, and we try to find these ways just to do something else, to show, to display exhibition online with music of Łukasz Ojdana, pianist who just released his new album. So we're trying to find other ways, just not this, the artist solo in the bedroom or in the basement, because, we spoke with several artists who were supposed to play at Jazz Art, and like, for instance, Portuguese, they couldn't even gather at that time. Poles, they couldn't do that anymore. A few days later,
now, so.
So the venues were closed. So it was just a matter whether you went for that. And still there is this. We have this dilemma that shall we do? It's like, of course, then we learned. We had to learn everything from the start, from scratch, about streaming and stuff, and we like, wow,
platforms, etc., paid platforms, and so on.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so that was a new thing we had to learn about. Now we are more experienced, so we are smarter. But well, of course, the life experience is like there is nothing to compare. And
I think especially the lockdowns, which were painful for a lot of artists and technical crew, and I think we realized it's not perfect always. The streamings, it's hard to get people pay for it, but at least it's an option to organize something in case it comes back, so we can plan something. And our approach is, okay, if there is a last-minute ban, then we can at least do the concert online, paid everyone, pay the staff, pay the artist, and do the concert without the audience. So I think we treat it as a. I think it's good. What we realized during the lockdown is that. Internet is a poor substitute for live music events, and it's a poor substitute for human connection. And we realized that very, very painfully, and now we use it as a tool, as a last resort to just make things happen and pay the people. And Jim, what have you engaged in any online activity?
This weekend is my first online activity. The A Train in Berlin.
Premiere. Yeah.
The A Train in Berlin is reopening this week. It's Jazz Week in Berlin it's called the IG Jazz. I'm not sure what it is, but they're sponsoring this week of music in Berlin. A Train is one of their featured locations, and that exact question about how to do the streaming is exactly what's being discussed, I think, as we sit here. And with
For all of us, it's new. And,
of course, and there's a bunch of different models to consider. The advertising thing, like it's free to the public, it's good for advertising, spread the word, spread the community, we're alive, we're rocking, that's all good. Paywall, guess what? You have to pay to see us play, just like at a gig. Okay, it's not the same as a gig. So a friend of mine in a city that has a club that's really famous did 2 sets at this club, and it was a paywall stream. 10 euros a view. They played 2 sets, 1,800 views. Do the math. They gave all the money to this leader, and that leader paid the band. Okay, that can't happen every day with every band. But don't underestimate the potential of people wanting to contribute, pay for music, just like buying a CD. It was well filmed, the audio was great, and money was made. And the artists didn't leave their own town. It's possible. So maybe that is a potential new paradigm if you have your streaming audience that doesn't mind giving 10 euros a week to see a band. A good band, something that you would actually want to, or take a chance on a new band. You could have different rates of pay if that's, 10 euros is not asking too much. You can pour the drink yourself in your house. You don't have to spend it on the bar. We have to start thinking again. But my point about this, and even this discussion with performing in Berlin this weekend, is that we have gotten used to ignoring the artist's needs. YouTube, Spotify, these have basically wiped out most of artists' income. And I'm not talking about the big cats, but the little people. And I'm a little person. My select audience is, let's say, before, say in 2000 when I was recording for a label, let's just say 3,000 people would buy my album. It was more than that. But let's say you have 3,000 fans after you've toured around. Well, if you're in touch with your fans, they'll keep purchasing your objects if you're in touch with them. But if you constantly tell people that music is for free and streaming is for free and artists don't take care of their streams, I think everything should be, if you're going to record an artist, pay them. That's my feeling. And we have to re-examine what this means now, because we were letting it real loose. We were getting really loose with letting artists, just the work leaking out constantly. And I've been fighting this with different people for a decade, and there's organizations in the States that have been trying to get this fair for artists, for creative copyright control. There's plenty of things online to look at and read about, but we need to really embrace this now, because it might be all we have, is the control of our live streams. So no, you don't get to keep the video. We own the video. And if you want to lease it from us, or if the club films us, there's a deal that's made with a fair percentage. If it stays up forever, monetize the thing forever. Get used to not giving it all away for free. I think that needs to be considered. And I think artists will be more optimistic. It's when it's not fair for everybody, it becomes a problem. So I want to see what happens, But again, do the math on that gig, okay? Think about that for a minute.
Well, if I can say something, because
yeah, sure.
I feel responsible. No, I agree completely. Fair for everybody, yeah. And I know in our case, the YouTube system, I think, when you play at our venue and we pay you, then the Bimhuis TV is an additional thing, And then I think, you have to sign the contract in which you give away the rights, because for YouTube there seems to be no other way. It will remain on YouTube, I think, even forever. At first it was for 2 years, but now it seems to be forever. We won't do anything with it, we won't use it. We won't sell it. It's mainly done, actually, for both of us, for you and for
Totally.
the artist. And
It's also a promotional tool for artists as well.
yeah,
to
but of
use
course,
the
I also
later on.
agree. You can always, as an artist, you can always keep saying it's for promotion. It's for promotion.
Yeah, of course.
Of course not. No,
Especially
of course not.
now, it's like always, yeah, but you will have this great movie to show everyone, etc., etc. It's not.
No,
not anymore.
okay. So I mean, we even give you the recordings and the multi-tracks, and the edits. You can have it, use it for your own whatever. But I don't know which club in New York you were referring to. I went to the Village Vanguard online a couple of times. It's $7 or $10, and it's really a great artist, great quality, and really a nice show from Europe to watch a show in New York, the Village Vanguard, for only €10. And that, if there are 1,000 views or more, I'm not sure, then of course a lot of money comes
It
in
makes a
for a
difference.
club and for the artist.
And I don't think that I've heard about the Village Vanguard streaming. It's not on YouTube. You can't watch those streams after the fact, right?
No.
It's only live.
Think about that. There was a time where it just wasn't available all the time for free. You get lazy and sloppy. You forget what it means to be part of an experience. That's the beauty of going to a club. You're there. The music is there. That's why John Zorn would never let anyone record. He's like, it's for the people in the room. Which is a kind of an awesome idea. Not everything has to be put out there. We live in a world where there's way too much anyway. So believe me, when I heard that the Vanguard was doing exclusive streaming and you couldn't watch it after the fact, hey, that's kind of hip. You know, if you have a following for your cool venue with the cool audience and the atmosphere around it, well, that's kind of maybe a paradigm worth exploring. And I know, of course, all the contracts with Bimhuis Fair, all that stuff. I'm just saying, as far as a new model, this is worth considering because as far as I can tell, it can be extremely profitable for everybody.
Yeah, and especially now, we really have to use this facility to make it work for everybody.
Right. So
yeah.
to be able to say enough of this, stop giving your music to Spotify for free. 70,000 listens does not equal 70,000 sales. You have to know that. Take it back. Put it on a platform where you profit from the sales. Find another way to advertise the thing. Get people to watch the exclusive stream from where it's at. Get used to putting money into that box, not 18 boxes where a bunch of business people make the majority of the profit and the artists in the club make nothing. We need to change this attitude, I think. We should have control. Us.
Exactly. We have to work together on that and
Totally.
find a good way.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
sure.
what's happening at the A-Train right now with
Okay, cool.
Sadal, the promoter. He's asking the artist, how should we go about this? That's fantastic. Good on Sadal.
I have a lot of things to talk about and a lot of questions for you guys. But maybe before I ask these questions, because probably we're slowly running out of time. Guys, do you have any questions? Yes. Microphones? It's disinfected every time it's passed to a new person.
Yes, thanks. Actually, I have also many questions, but I was wondering about this kind of streaming and donating idea, and I think it was like, in my opinion, it was like working probably at the beginning of the lockdown because everyone wanted to help or to pay for something, but then I just got also this situation that people didn't want to donate or to pay because everyone was starting to do the same. So do you think it's also like good to keep streaming as an artist, or I mean, if it's good for art as an artist? So actually the question is more for you, but
At all, you mean? As a...
like, yeah, I mean, like if you agree to stream your music, because nowadays, I mean, I can record my screen and record the music that you're playing, even when I just gave you in this moment €5 or 10, I can record it and I can keep it. I mean, it's how now the things are working. So if it's like also good for the artist that maybe nowadays it's not that easy just to do it once and it finished.
Yeah, I think it's what we discussed is that we are using now the streams as a tool, and that the tool is important for us to be able to function in these very difficult times. So I think that also the reality of streams is going to change. Jim, would you like to add something?
Okay, I mean, in the YouTube, Facebook world, everyone's a star, right? There's too many musicians. Would you agree? What does that mean? The market is flooded. And there's nothing wrong with having that many artists, but what are we putting out there? What are we generating? I'm just asking that question because I think about it. I'm very careful with what I want to put out there. Every release, every stream, I want it to be killer. I want it to be something that sits out there forever, which is why we try to make every show great, because it's all being documented, you know, and maybe even documented and sold in a different way from here on out. So, yeah, I think the artist still has to take care of what they're releasing and constantly leaking videos for approvals and likes on Instagram and things. I don't know where this is going. That's what I mean by everybody's a star. You know, so what's worth paying for? What's worth paying for? Well, I want to make something that's, you know, we work hard on, that costs money to make. You want to make a great recording, the microphones cost money, studios cost money. That comes out of somebody's pocket. And there needs to be a return for that investment. And before streaming, before the internet, there was a return for your investment. Now it's a little different, so.
Can I react to that, Jim?
Yeah,
Sorry?
Because
Yes.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but there's also an advantage. Everybody now can bring their music on out there in the open, you know, on
True.
YouTube. And before, you were dependent on either programmers like me or radio programmers, or, you know, you would have to be picked.
True,
to
and
be
we
played
still.
on the radio, otherwise you wouldn't be heard.
I'm totally with you. And
Or
we
you would need the money to make a record and bring it out there.
This is the question. There's a million choices now. Who's my guide?
Yeah, okay, that's one thing, who's your guide, but there's, like, for young musicians, the possibility to bring it out there, the music.
This is part of what
almost
I'm.
for free.
No, I'm with you. And so when you talk about monetizing in clubs and programmation and festivals, what does it all mean if everyone can just be their own channel? Who's the filter? Who's the curator? I still look for websites to show me what to check out. I still look to my friends to recommend what's hot, what's good. And the internet's lightning fast with the recommendations. So there aren't too many streams. There aren't too many musicians. We can always use more. How do we direct the flow? I think it's here to stay. And that the global world is connected through the internet. So welcome, welcome. Work hard. Give me a reason to go to your stream. Give me a reason because you're awesome at what you do to pay you money. I want to buy the good stuff, not the okay stuff. I want the good stuff. And I want my friends to tell me what the good stuff is, and I would throw a lot of money at it because I want the good art. So.
Okay. Anyone? Any more questions? Yes, Wojtek.
I have that thought that because there's so many bands and so many musicians, I don't really think we should wait for like Spotify to react and to be more fair for us. I think it's more that artists should be more focused on building like real fan base, like people who don't only click likes on Facebook, but people who will always buy your record, like CD or LP, or come to your gig. And people don't really think about that a lot, I think, like musicians and bands. So maybe that's the way.
That's the old American way. That's how every rock band found its following. Medeski and Martin Wood in the jazz rock circles. You get into the car and tour and you earn your audience because you sound awesome. And you keep the names and numbers of all those fans and you send postcards and you do emails. Yes, Spotify, 70,000 virtual pats on the head does not pay your rent. You need, start with a couple hundred paying customers, and now you're talking about something that moves. Okay, so yes, every band can earn their way. Find your audience, and that's the local idea, you know? And if we can't fly, local streaming, you know, yeah, outreach, all that stuff. Advertising your own band. A concert venue can help advertise your band by featuring you on their site, et cetera, et cetera. There's lots of possibilities, but I mean, just personally, yeah, Spotify's got to stop. It has to, because the guy's not paying anybody except him, them. Even though it's such an awesome tool, but my friends that are addicted to using it are now quitting it. They're boycotting, and boycotting is the most oldest form of protest you can imagine. Just stop giving it money and it goes away. And more than that, it just stinks. So it's not cool to use Spotify anymore. In the same way that a lot of people think it's not cool to go to this business or not buy that food. Boycott is powerful. Learn to use the tool. About something that you don't think is right, stop supporting it. Oops.
Anyone? Yeah.
I would like to just go back to streaming the concerts, because if I understood Jim correctly, you said that if you can't watch the stream after it's recorded, then it's much better, right? Because whenever I see some concerts on Facebook or YouTube, which you can watch afterwards, then I don't really see many donates, you know. But if it's on Zoom, for example, it's always like maybe 200 people instead of 2,000, but 200 who paid actually for it.
It's a more committed circle.
Yeah,
yes, it's like
it's
friend circle.
I even saw it in my situation. For example, I'm out with my friends, and then I don't go back home to watch this concert because, you know, I can watch it afterwards, and then still I forget about it. For example, when I have to sign for it on Zoom or something, and I'm waiting for it, it's something, you know, exclusive, and you always paid for it before. So I would highly recommend to do it through Zoom, for example, because it's also an event for you, like going out for a concert, not just watching something which would, you know, you go through Facebook and you have 10 concerts and they are all great.
If there's like 100 streams a night,
Yeah.
right? Which is very potentially the possibility now in this world. 100 streams in one city in one night, as if there were 100 clubs functioning, right? Is that fair? Well, maybe it is. Who's your fan base? Who's advertising your stream? And I think the idea of monetizing it makes a lot of sense. Like you were saying, Wojtek, like, get your fan base. That's the old school way of...
Grassroots.
Grassroots,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why not? I don't know if there's any other way you can do it.
I think that in Poland, Jacka Kłapa did these concerts. This is a Polish artist, and she did these concerts in her house. And I think that what the most successful streams were exactly the ones that she invited her friends and to play and to collect money, and they paid with the streams. And this is like the grassroots, you know, phenomenal concert. And this is what really works well. So people are committed, and people want to contribute, and they are like more compelled to pay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and everyone watched it, you know, because it's also a kind of a friend and atmosphere, and it's something they did on their own. It's not funded publicly. It's not an institution. They just decided to open their house to artists and their families. That was really cool.
That's why people wanted to pay for it. They didn't have to spam on Facebook, donate.
No.
People wanted to. That's all I wanted.
Ah, okay.
People just wanted to donate money for it.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
quality was very good. Yeah, I think we can assume that the situation is going to last for some time. And yes, Martina.
Yeah, I just wanted, because I thought about that, about fan base and about emerging artists who have different, who don't have that, who haven't been touring for like 30 years, who don't have these opportunities, who didn't build yet. This fan base. So that's why important is to work with festivals, important is to work with venues, because then there's different label, they can go into that, and then we have this responsibility to present them, because well, Lenny Kravitz online, he will manage, okay, that's fine. But new art, like new young artists, they have to have some support. And also even like I thought about it when you were telling about it, that how to choose these things. When you know your artist, you follow him or her, and then you know where to find them, and then you go there. You are at 8 p.m. at home, you know, just to watch this exclusive show, but then how to find the others? Well, I remember that the first show online that I saw during lockdown was Nagrobki, and then I watched both. I donated twice. I donated everything, like basically concerts from Finland, bookstore, local bookstores, everything. I went bankrupt after coronavirus, not only because the virus, but about, yeah, but it's a joke. But yeah, there is something in it, because I donated to books, to music, to
keep
films,
them going,
you know,
to keep the
to keep
institutions
this
that
culture.
you love,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that they're
alive.
there when you come back. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like movies, right? Our cinemas, art house movies and stuff. But yeah, and even like where people were asking, like how to find these things. There are like hundreds of concerts every day. So then it's even more important to keep together, to read the blogs, to read the music magazines, to check these things out, to listen to the radio, to find out, and all us together. That was the good thing, what I said in the beginning, just to keep this industry, like the environment together, because we had to share this information, we had to support this emerging artists, we had to also exchange our experience as we were doing that in EJN. So yeah, let's just stay together, you know, and then we'll survive. I think that's
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
And it's good that to see that there's so many things happening also, and that we have so many options. Because I was just to finish the discussion slowly. What I wanted just you to answer to is during these difficult times. Is it because I hear from many people that it's a lost year? It's, you know, it's just let's survive 2020 and just let's move to 2021. Lost year is an expression I listened, I heard many times. So Bogdan. What do you think about Slovenian art, Slovenian music? Is it possible for the music to thrive during this kind of difficult times like we are experiencing right now?
Yeah, maybe I can first say that at the moment, streaming doesn't exist in Slovenia. And it won't exist as long people can go to the concerts. Every day there are concerts, and people are just going out and seeing live
During
music.
the lockdown?
I mean, lockdown was for 1 month, no? 1 month and a half.
Only 1 month in
1 month and
Slovenia. Oh, okay.
Well, from mid-March to end of April.
You were the first one to close, I remember, because you couldn't get to
Yeah.
Jazz Connective.
I mean, streaming, I think, will be always second choice, never first choice. And if we create circumstances that we can have more concerts than we had, even, which I think is possible, and probably I think it will happen, then the streaming, the interest for streaming will go down. Mm-hmm. I think it's like two directions, right? And especially if there is a concert which people can go and pay for it, people who stay at home will not pay for it to watch it, right?
But at the same time, you used the technologies very creatively at your festival, as you described.
Yeah, but that's a model. You know, you have to see what you can do. You know, but this is not the ideal. This is just we don't want to do that forever, right? We found a way. What was the best way to do it in these circumstances? You know, and very possibly half of next year is gonna be the same as it is now, or worse, or It will be shaky, you know. We don't know, but we cannot be really say that to 1st of January 21 everything will change. Nothing will change. I think artists now, everybody in Slovenia is now focused on that, how and where they can get a gig, live gig. And they don't do anything on internet because they know people in the summer, nobody will stay in the evening at home and watch streaming. Outside is 30 degrees, nice weather. Who will watch the streaming in the middle of the summer? But then things will change in the autumn. So you go to then to other models. So what I said before, that like us presenters, also artists have to find their way and think what will they do in November.
And we are a very
they
adaptable and
they cannot
flexible
play outside
community.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think everybody knows now what is coming, and they're probably preparing. Many use their time to make new music albums. So it's going to be
To
I think,
renovate the
very
bedrooms.
fruitful.
To renovate your house.
Very fruitful year, I think, for music scene in Slovenia, despite these problems with live events.
And Frank, is it a hibernation year for you, or is it a valuable artistically and personally time for you as well?
Yeah, I think valuable, yes. I mean, of course, if you look at it as it used to be, no, this year we are not going to get the audience numbers, and we will not have the amount of international concerts. I mean, all international concerts. The last leftovers are going to be cancelled probably, most probably in the fall. Yeah. I mean, that's really terrible. But on the other hand, we got some extra funding for special ideas regarding to the whole situation and the world we're living in. You know, so I can give some commissions to artists in Amsterdam, and we have some new program ideas coming up, and we have some funding for that. So yeah, we're dealing with the situation and making art
And
from
developing new models.
developing new models, and of course this whole online thing, that's something for the future. We don't know how long we're stuck in this. We don't know how long we can keep on spreading CO2 in the atmosphere with flying. So the online streaming concerts might be a good idea anyway to keep on doing that, or doing it more.
International things.
Yeah. So you know, if lots of people go to the Village Vanguard online, yeah, maybe that's a good idea for the future, and also good for artists anyway. I mean, if you sell 1,000 tickets worldwide online, I mean, that's some nice income. So yeah, maybe that's something we have to look up. Maybe that's the future. And life is going to be more an exceptional thing than it is now.
Yeah, I think we appreciate more the concerts that we can go to and listen to. That it was in the past, it was just okay, I go this and this, and you know, plenty of concerts every week that were happening in our cities. Now it's all a very rare pleasure.
I mean, the number of big concerts went down, right?
Yeah, but the small concerts.
But the number of small concerts, I mean, this is also an opportunity for emerging artists, because small concerts are possible for limited audience. And I wouldn't agree that's the future, that that music, I don't believe that music can survive on the internet. I don't think this is the tool that artists can create and get. Not in the creative sector. I think in pop business, this is probably possible that you give $50 and Madonna only plays for you on the internet. But for creatives, I mean, for the jazz musicians, this is kind of stupid, no?
Well, maybe and both.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but then in the pop, you know, we need also spectacle. In pop music, important is the fireworks, and then you don't have it on the internet. Even if you see it on your screen, on your phone, the smaller screen, the smaller fireworks. So no, but seriously, this is like a like a Madonna. Okay, you know, that was the beauty of it for pop music. Just that you could see the famous that I mentioned already like 100 times, the bedroom. That was fun of it. That Lady Gaga showed her kitchen or whatever. Yeah, but then of course jazz doesn't have these fluctuations online that well you don't experience that. So in both ways we lose online, in both in pop and in jazz or any other music, like okay, philharmonic music, you know, that, come on. But if I still think that if there is only way that I can support artists, well, I would do that, you know, because what else? If there is only this.
I also heard they
bedroom.
stopped producing new PA, all equipment for live music. They just stopped producing it. So what we have now, we will have for next 30 years. So.
Acoustic. Okay.
Maybe the live music, when it becomes more rare, it's going to be more. The value is going up. You know, it's like gold. So it's maybe that can also bring up something really good.
But
I mean,
I think that our goal is not to just accept what government says it's safe for the people, but we should find a way, also through our networks, with everybody together, to propose them what would be the safe way of doing live concerts everywhere. So I would like to think about our community in Europe or worldwide, that we find intelligent way that we can keep doing live concerts for people regardless the capacity of virus around us, because this virus will go and next one will come and tra-la. So we need to find a really intelligent way to present live music and not just accept that cultural sector is the most protected health-wise, and everybody can go to bar and hang on and drink and like nothing happened, you know. But yes, concerts are dangerous. No, we cannot accept that.
Yeah,
we have to change. We have to change this.
We have churches in Poland.
We
We
have to
have
change this
beaches.
together. We have to talk at our
tourist
networks
destinations.
and push. We will push.
Let's push together. Jim, we have like 1 minute left. Is it last year for you?
Is it what?
Last year for you?
No. Come on, I'm here. No, and it's great to hear what everyone has to say and what everyone's talking about here. And not to go into all the darkness I've read from my friends and have talked to my friends about it, and people changing their jobs because they can't survive as artists anymore where they live, because everywhere you live is a different set of circumstances and challenges to be an artist, you know. But what Bogdan's saying about, like, yeah, don't accept no, find a way to do it properly, find a way to do it safe, where it even feels safe for the artist to come and travel to play. Yeah, make that the new norm. And when wintertime comes, maybe focus more on streaming this idea if we can't be inside and all that. And then when we can come back outside, yeah, I think that sounds fantastic. And that gives a lot of hope, you know, because we're in this situation. There's so much more that's going to happen. We have no idea what it is. So we have to take control of
Embrace
this.
it.
You know, embrace it, take control, accept it. And, yeah. I wish everyone a lot of luck and a lot of courage to get through this, and strength to, yeah, this is something exciting. Let's do it right. Let's figure it out as fast as possible and maximize it. Keep it going.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. You know, I would love to reunite in this 2025 again. Let's make this agreement. Let's make the panel again in 2025, and then we see, okay, where we were wrong, when we were right, and whether our predictions were good or bad.
We were strong. We were wrong, but strong.
Can I bring my laser cannon?
Yes, exactly. Yes, so thank you very much. It was really a pleasure to talk to you guys. Again, it's a pleasure to have all of you here. It's, as we call it, 2020 miracle that we managed to get here, that we are distanced, but we are together. I think it's very important for us, for promoters, for the community, for you, students, professional musicians, for participants of International Jazz Platform. And this is what International Jazz Platform has always been about, and these personal meetings and talks and being inspired by people that you meet here, and also bringing this optimism and bringing inspiration. And this is what we need for the next few months, I think. So take the energy and keep the energy for the months to come. So thank you very much. We'll have a short break. There is a coffee there, you can hang out, and then we'll resume with the probably very shorter instrumental sessions. Yes, here Jim Black and the rest of the guys know their rooms, and then we gather back in the main concert hall at 9 o'clock for the concert of amazing Yves Risser. So I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, see you around.